How do you plan your life where you are integrating and honoring every part of who you are and not just parts of you? We've been conditioned to believe that only parts of us matter, right? We focus so heavily on maybe, especially this new year, making sure that I'm physically fit, physically healthy, or perhaps making sure that I've got my career here to make money, or perhaps I'm just going to focus on being a better mom. But the problem with that isolated focus is that it doesn't take into account how that specific area is impacting every part of our life, both negatively and positively. So let's just say you're focusing so much right now on being healthy, which is good. You want to make sure this new year, you want to be physically fit, you want to get in your, workout routine and but also eating healthy. But if you don't pay attention to your physical health, if you don't pay attention to your friendship, if you don't pay attention to your, intimacy or your family life, well, you could be so focused on working out and not realize that perhaps parts of you are not actually being cared for. So you focus on eating healthy and making sure you've got your nutrition, but your stress at work, because you're not focusing at work, or your home life is chaotic, therefore it's making you feel overwhelmed. And so even though you're physically trying to change the way you're eating and trying to be healthy, the fact that you haven't addressed maybe your work life that's chaotic, or your intimacy, or your husband or your boyfriend doesn't make you feel valued, eventually you're physically stressed. Now, what happens when you're physically stressed? Well, sometimes we don't take care of our body physically. Our thoughts impact our emotion, and we can't separate the fact that our thoughts we carry that in our physical body. And so we have to start seeing with eyes of wholeness when we design every arena of our life. Now, it doesn't mean that you focus on all of them. It does mean that even when you're focusing on one part of your arena, let's just say your physical health, you're paying attention on all of the different parts of your life that also need nourishment, because you don't want to wake up one day and realize, oh, what happened to my friendship? Oh, what happened to my home life? What happened to my marriage? What happened to my self-image? You're all connected. And what you do positively or negatively, let's just say you start eating healthy, that's going to impact the way you show up in your career, in your home life, in your environment, in your marriage, but also negatively. So you want to pay attention to a whole version of yourself. So right now, I'm going to walk you through a process that we do in the Women's School to help us design every season of our life with great intention, based on the integrated whole version of ourselves. So I'm going to do three things, and I'm going to walk you through this process. Ultimately, you ought to probably kind of take a step back and reflect in your own time, because I'm going to do it quite fast, and do this in your own time. If you would like, you can do this also with one of our Women's School coach or wholeness coach, so that they can walk you even deeper than I can through this model. But what I'm going to walk you through here, you can do it on real time. Just grab a piece of paper and then jot down my answers. So I'm going to share my screen. And the purpose here for you is to, number one, bring awareness and get a pulse on every part of your life. Number two, let's identify what you want and don't want for this year. And number three, let's develop some strategies so that you can actually achieve your goal clearly. But the whole time we're paying attention to the integrated and whole version of you, meaning you're paying attention on all the different parts of you that's being affected and impacted. And this is a radical shift of your, I would say, conditioning, or the way our mindset has been trained to just sort of tunnel vision on, I just want to be a good mom. I just want to make sure I make money. I just want to make sure I'm a good student. I just want to make sure I find the right man, without seeing the whole version of yourself. So what happens when we are rewiring and shifting, literally there's a wiring that happens in our brain through neuroplasticity, is our brain sometimes has, we have to exert a greater effort when we're creating these shifts in our brain, because it's like learning a new language. So be patient with yourself, but at the same time, I want you to pay attention on the whole version of you, because when you're not whole, you're susceptible to depression, anxiety, stress, manipulation, or susceptible to actually giving up and letting go of perhaps your purpose as a woman, your call, your dreams, because parts of you are hurting, but you are unaware of it. All right. So ready? If you like our practical life training here in the Women's School, please click subscribe and share this with your friends. Comment below, and I read your comments so I can bring back greater value to you. So let's begin. I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to do three things. And so when I go through this process with you, it's going to be what we call a rapid pace. And the reason being is because I want you to access your subconscious conditioning. So it's like we have to do it fast. Okay. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's a time for you to just see what's first comes in your mind. And then eventually it will reveal something. You observe, where does it come from? What's the source of that? And once again, access. We have free complimentary coaching call with our coaches, so you can go deeper in some of this that I can't do through this training. So let's begin. Step one, let's give ourselves a pulse on the whole woman. And I'm going to give you kind of an explanation and all the different 8 parts of you, a whole version of you. And I want you to rate yourself 0 to 10, 10 being you are thriving, or 10 being yes, an absolute yes, and 0 being no, I'm depleted, or no, it's not happening, January. Okay. So quickly, 0 to 10, your self-image. This is the first relationship you have. It's the foundation of all relationship. It's the opinion that you hold of yourself. Maybe you have a positive or negative opinion of yourself. Maybe you're not very secure. Maybe you're not very confident. Or maybe you are very confident in one particular part of your life, but maybe not so confident. So 0 to 10, do you have a positive and healthy and strong opinion of who you are? 10 being a yes, 0 being a no. Let's move on to health. Now, health, as we define in the Women's School, is an integration of your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Why? Because our thoughts, what I think about, if I'm thinking negatively, it impacts my emotion. All of a sudden, I start to get anxious. Then it impacts my body. You literally can feel the burden of stress physically. You start to get aches and pains. And it's now proven that our thoughts actually can cause us to be physically sick, causes inflammation. And then spiritually, because our spiritual life is so connected to our thoughts and our emotions and our body, we can't be spiritually receptive to and also be present in the moment if we're constantly stressed and we're hijacked, because we can't be fully present in the moment because we're thinking of all of the worries that we have. So 0 to 10, 10 being you have optimal energy to contribute to the world, to the people around you. You are mentally fit, emotionally fit, physically fit, and spiritually strong. You know who you are, you know whose you are, and you know your sense of, I would say, belonging and purpose. 0 to 10, right? Integrated. All right, let's move on to friendship. Friendship, as we define it in the Women's School, is an accompaniment to the journey to becoming who you were created to be, to that highest version of you. It's not just for us to hang out. Yes, that's part of it too. But really, it is about you understanding that you have this beautiful purpose in friendship. Just pause real quick. We're going to resume. Hopefully my mic is better. That's why I paused. All right. So number 3 is friendship. Friendship, as we define it, is really accompaniment in the journey to becoming a whole version of you, become who you were created to be. So it's not just about hanging out. It's about having friends that dream with you and challenge you and hold you accountable to becoming your highest and best self, a whole version of you. And most of the time we haven't been trained to find friendships that dream with us and hold us accountable. So 0 to 10, your friendships are dreaming with you and they're meaningful and they hold you accountable to becoming a whole version of you. 10 being yes, 0 being a no. Let's move on to intimacy. Intimacy is the most sacred part of you reserved for somebody who has earned the right to be there. And it is your accompaniment also to becoming that whole version of you in a way that is vulnerable and sacred. So the goal for your intimacy is that it inspires you. It is honoring your value, and it's making you feel that you are the most important person for them besides God, and that you are in that safe, beautiful space, and that you're admired. And that's ultimately what our deepest heart's desire is, that we are admired by the person we admire most. And now, if you're not dating, that there's peace within you in that sacred space. If you're maybe divorced, that you understand your value in that place. You're either holding it sacred, but you're not wrestling with it, right? So 0 to 10, 10 being thriving, 0 being a no. Number 5, it's your contribution. It's your purpose in your home, outside your home, and in between. It's really this extension of, I would say, maximizing our potential. Most of us are not trained to understand that we have a potential and a purpose in every season of our life, and not just at the end of our life. Therefore, in this current moment, do you feel as though you are being stretched and you're maximizing your potential, you're training new skills, new talent, and you're giving it back with a sense of purpose? I'm in, learning new skills in the women's school because I know that my purpose, especially for this particular season of my life, is to teach and raise the dignity of women. And I'm learning the skills and I feel fulfilled. So we have to wake up and ask ourselves, do I feel as though I have a sense of purpose? If I'm a stay-home mom, I was a stay-home mom for years and years. I didn't work. Do I feel as though I am fulfilling my unique and irreplaceable purpose as a mom, and that I'm contributing value in this world? And that's what it's about. So 10, feel as though you're fulfilled. 0 being no. Environment is that physical and both, it's a physical space around us composed of things and people that's designed for our growth, and it's designed to nourish us into, I would say, a whole version of ourselves. It should be a place that inspires us, our home life, our work life. 0 to 10, it's a place that inspires you to grow and helps you, I would say, to achieve, a full version of you, or it actually holds you back. It's stressful, it's chaotic, and it's a place that's toxic. Wealth, an abundance of time, treasure, and talent for the sole purpose of contribution. The key word is abundance, that there's more than enough. Now, $200 could be more enough, $20 could be enough, $1,000 could be enough. It really is about an abundance mindset, a mindset of both there's more than enough and a mindset of generosity. That my purpose of developing my talent, also having more time and more resources, is that so I can give it back. Why is that important? Because that's what fulfills us. To hoard all the material goods all the time in the world and not giving it back is actually not fulfilling. So at the end of the day, what fulfills us, right, is the goal here. A woman fully alive and fulfilled has to be living a life of generosity, and that's wealth. 0 to 10, 10 being yes, abundance, more than enough time, resources, January. Family life, 0 to 10, it is the infrastructure for you actually maturing into your call. Is it a place of peace and joy? Is your family life ordered towards a life of, I would say, contribution? Or is it actually what's sucking the life out of you? 0 to 10. 10 being, yes, it's beautiful. It's my family is a place of peace. It's not perfect, but it makes me feel alive. So really quickly, as you go through 0 to 10, take a step back and ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Just looking, right? How do I feel? Like, okay, January, that 4 here, 2 here. Now, here's the most important learning that I want you to start to pay attention to and to bring awareness to, is that look at your lowest part of your arena. Let's just say your health, right? Let's say your physical health. How does that impact your self-image, the opinion that you hold of yourself? How does that impact you show up for your family? Are you more tired? Are you more exhausted? How does it impact your friendship? If your friends are convincing you not to go out and work out, or maybe eat healthier or manage your mind, how does it impact even your intimate life? How does it impact the way you show up in your environment? Are you more tired, or perhaps you don't have energy to imagine how you can make it better and inspiring? How does it show up in your work? What I want you to start thinking about is actually the integrated impact of every part of your life. If you're looking at maybe your lowest arena is your family, how does it impacting your marriage? How does it impacting your health? How does it impacting your home life and your environment? How does it impacting your self-image? There is no arena that does not actually intersect. And I want you to start seeing with eyes of wholeness, which is the goal, that you are taking responsibility for your life of wholeness, and you're constantly paying attention to how every part of you impacts every part of you. And that's your role and your responsibility. Nobody's going to do that for you. If you go to the doctor and then you say, I feel like I'm physically not fit and healthy, doctor's not going to say, well, let's look at your contribution. Let's look at your self-image. Let's look at your intimacy. Let's look at your family life. No, but you can do that. And that's us retraining our brain, that we are paying attention of how every part of us is positively and negatively impacting. And so this is your metric for life. Every year, every season, every month, take this test and just give yourself, a rating. Now, best way you can do this is really to do it with an accountability partner. You can go to one of our wholeness coaches, because they're trained to actually go deeper into some of these questions, because your goal is to get to the root cause of the why, because there's no time in our life where we're going to have everything exactly 10. And if you actually have everything 10, that means you're not growing because there's something that's, you're not aspiring something bigger. That means you don't know the dream of the season that's causing you to aspire for something greater. Because typically when we're trying to pursue something greater than our current self, that we understand the dream is so big, it changes actually the different parts of your arena, because now you're chasing something so big, it changes your self-image, it changes your health, because now you're learning these skills to pursue the dream. So if you're 10 all over, it's because perhaps you're not dreaming of something that's making you want to go back and grow your mindset and your skill set. So if you have it all 10, it's because the dream's not big enough. So anyways, we're going to go to step 2, which is, what do you not want and want in every arena of your life? And so here you can do that on your own and say, what do I not want to put up with in who I am, in my image of myself? Write down 1 or 2 things. What do you not want to put up with in your health? Maybe you don't want to be stressed anymore. Maybe you don't want to be overweight anymore. Maybe you don't want to be spiritually numb and you're not praying anymore. What do you not want to put up in your friendship? Maybe it's toxic friendship. Maybe friendships who are not dreaming. Maybe friendships who feel like you hang out with them, but you walk out and it's less meaningful. Maybe what do you want to put up in your intimacy? Maybe you don't want to put up the fact that he doesn't actually value, taking care of you, or that it's like ships passing in the night, or there's no more date night, or maybe you love each other genuinely, but you're not taking time away to actually invest in each other. Maybe you don't want to put up with the fact that maybe he's checking out other women. Maybe you don't put up the fact that you're not dreaming together. Whatever it is, identify those things. What about your contribution? Maybe you don't want to put up with the fact that you're a mom and you're saying when you feel like there's no sense of purpose, or you're a working mom and you feel like you're just going, busy, doing all the demands on you, but you don't feel fulfilled because you don't feel like there's a purpose behind it. Or maybe you're working so hard and you don't want to put up with the fact that you feel that you're not valued, or you're being devalued by the people around you, whatever that is. Now, environment, what do you not want to put up with? A chaotic home, lack of organization, toxic friendship, toxic community. Maybe you're in a community where you've outgrown them. And once upon a time, they served you and they allow you to blossom and flourish. But because you continue to grow, but your community is not growing, now they're toxic. Because if the people around you are not growing, they're dying, which means if you're continually growing, the people around you, they're dying because they're not investing in their own growth. They're pulling you down. And now all of a sudden you're a threat to them. So it becomes really toxic. So whether that's at work, at home, maybe family life, maybe extended family, whatever that is, pay attention that your environment influences your interior environment, your peace of mind. And so if you're not paying attention to the negative influences in your environment, then it could negatively impact you. But you could also celebrate the fact that it could have a positive influence, right? Maybe you've done this and you've trained yourself to actually be very intentional year after year, and you realize, wow, my environment is actually more peaceful than I was. So you want to celebrate and honor that in all the different parts of your arena. Let's go to wealth. Maybe you don't want to put up with the fact that you don't have enough money, or that your husband's job or your job is vulnerable because you don't know the state of the economy, and you want to do something where you don't have to be tethered, or you don't have to be a victim to, I would say, the circumstances of our economy. So maybe you're tired of never having enough time. Maybe you're tired of feeling like you're driving all over creation and you don't ever have time to invest in your own growth, whatever that is. What do you not want to put up in your family? Maybe you don't want to put up with the fact that your children are disrespectful to you, or that you're not being appreciated, or that your family life can't travel because there's not enough, right? So enough resources, which is connected to wealth. So do you see how everything is integrated? What do you not want to put up with? Now, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how do you feel? Just bringing to surface and putting into words and writing it out, what's in your thoughts, and then putting it on paper. What do you not put up with? Okay. Write down how you feel, and then ask yourself, what's the root cause of this? Typically, the root cause of it is probably in one of your arenas. Maybe there's an unhealed wound in your health, in your self-image. Maybe there is a deep relationship in your intimacy that's unhealed. Ask yourself, what's the root cause? And it's typically also going to be the lowest part of your arena. And just pause and just be very aware that what you're doing right now is bringing to surface perhaps new awareness that you were not aware of before in a very integrated way. Okay? What's the root cause of this? Because if we're not aware that we've been putting up with something that we shouldn't have, because we have never taken the time to take a step back and ask ourselves and take, I would say, what's going through in our head and organize it the way I'm showing you here, right? You're organizing and putting what you want and putting what's kind of overwhelming us, and now it's on paper. Now you can see it. Now you can give language to it. Now you can say, well, what do I want? Right? What do I want? So now we're going to move into what you want. We're still in step 2. What do you want? Now, this is the time to imagine like a child. And oftentimes, this is one of the most challenging things, because I invite women to say, if there were no obstacle, what do you really want? The reason we do that is there's this part of our brain called a reticular activating system, which allows us to actually expand what we focus on. So if we are focusing on the fact that we can't, we don't want to, or we don't, what we don't want, or we can't have it, then we are going to find more of it. So what we're going to do is allow the way, our God-given brain, and use it to our advantage by giving us that permission to go into the desires of our heart that are not matured. They could not be, they could not be the highest good, but give ourselves permission to go there so we can study the desires of our heart and mature it. Because if we ignore the desires of our heart, it's going to come back somewhere else in resentment or regret. We have to discover the desires of our heart and then mature it. And that's why growing is an essential key here. And so what I want here is permission to imagine. Right? Einstein said that education is limited, and I'm paraphrasing, but imagination is more powerful than education because it encompasses the world. You can go anywhere in your mind. You can imagine, wow, what if my husband actually really loved being with me on a daily basis? What if my home life is so peaceful? What if I am in a job that I get paid double the amount of money, and I love the people that I work with, and it's fulfilling my God-given potential? What if I was growing in self-confidence as a woman, and that people's negative opinion of me never really bothered me? What if I was healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally? What if I was, 10 pounds lighter, or 20 pounds, or whatever that is, and I was mentally sharp and fit and didn't have this mommy brain? Think about what you want. Now go through every particular part of your arena and say, what do I really want? More time, more resources, more energy, right? More, I would say, order, more beauty, more friendships that are meaningful, and just write them out. Okay. Now the third part, it's going to be better if you actually are working with a coach, because I can't do this with you, is that you take one part of your arena, which is typically the lowest part of your arena, or you can take 2. And we have this process called a 1-for-5 DGA, which you break down a strategy. And all I want you to do is to pick your lowest arena and say, it's right here, the gap. It's called the gap strategy. What would be the strategy that you would employ if you were going to bridge the gap between what you no longer want to put up with, what you don't want, to achieving what you want? Maybe it's a better routine for your self-image. Maybe it's investing in your own growth. Number 1, maybe it is learning to have positive self-talk. Maybe it is learning to rewire unconditional value. Identify these key strategies to bridge the gap. Maybe it is having an accountability partner to help me go and change my nutrition, right? Whatever way would be healthy. Maybe it is getting blood work done to see what your whole body, if I would say overall health is. Maybe it is learning to breathe, because sometimes that's managing our mind, learning how to breathe and put oxygen actually in our cell that lowers us and de-stresses us. So identify, how would I get quality friendship? How would if what I want is quality friendship, where would I find them? Oh, I should find 5 new friends or 2 new friends, or I should be a better friend, or I should communicate my standard. Really think about some of these strategies that are necessary to bridge the gap on what you don't want. And your intimacy. Maybe that you are imploring date night every week. That's what my husband and I have, and it really does make a difference. Maybe you're having a hard conversation. Maybe you're going to therapy. The same thing with your contribution. Maybe, I really want to do something meaningful in my life. I want to go back to school, or I want to study myself. I want to invest in my own growth in the women's school, or I want to find a different kind of work, or I want to know how to actually bring meaning in my life as a mom, whatever that would be in your environment. Oh, what I really wanted to redesign my kitchen. Put it in there, right? And like a child, dream it frivolously. Now, you're not going to do, solve all the problem at once. You can't, your brain's going to go on overload, but you're clarifying the desires of your heart and giving yourself permission to want something that maybe before you haven't, for the sole purpose of putting it in your reticular activating system, RAS, which is that part of your brain that helps you expand what you focus on, right? What about your wealth? What do you want? I want, $500 more a month, January, 2,000, whatever that number is. I want more time. I want to work half the time. I want to have 5 hours extra rest. I want to be able to sleep more, whatever that is. I want to be able to travel more. And then your family. I really want a family that is in harmony, that's united, that has great conversation, whatever that is. Now take a step back and just analyze, how do you feel, just identifying, clarifying what you want and don't want, right? And look at the strategy and just identify it quickly. And then what you want to do is, obviously you've picked one. I've just given you samples for all of them. And then ask yourself, what's the mindset and the skill set that I actually need to learn, unlearn, and relearn so I can bridge the gap? Because you can't achieve what you want being the same woman. You've been probably trying, but you lack the skill set, right? If I wanted to move up from, wanted to move up from vice president to president, I can't become president if I don't actually learn new skills that presidents do. Just for some reason, using that as an example. If I wanted to achieve the gold medal and I've been, playing in the bronze level, what new skill, right, do I need, let's say, gymnast, to allow me to get to that gold medal? And so what we need to do is to invest in a new mindset, a new skill set, so that we can bridge the gap. The alternative is to see what you want and don't want and never do anything about it because you feel helpless. But you're not helpless. The goal for us women is to take responsibility for the life that we were created for, a life fully alive. And it begins with us studying the desires of our heart, maturing it, and also moving into the things that we don't want, right? And what we don't want doesn't mean that we ignore the things that are hard or that we're actually struggling with. It also could mean that we're able to embrace redemptively the sufferings that we have and see it with eyes of wholeness, or seeing that it's happening for us. So it's a whole mindset. And that's why I said it's both mindset and skill set, because you're seeing the whole version, you're seeing the integrated model of you. And so what you want to make sure is that you're not overwhelmed in seeing all this. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like, oh, Jen, where do I begin? You have to invest in who you are. And that's where I would say our core 4 model of having a course, which that's what we do in the New One Masterclasses. I give you a blueprint on actually how to design every arena of your life with a standard, with clarity of your dreams and your goals, with understanding how you can shift your mindset, your attitude, and developing your awareness of perhaps what you didn't know about what's possible in your life, and then teaching you to design a whole version of you. So having that course, a core 4 is core 1 is a course, core 2 is a coach, because accountability is necessary. If you are going to be an Olympic gold medal, you can't achieve it without a coach. I mean, think about it. You have to have somebody that holds you accountable, and that they do that in a way that is consistent on a weekly basis, just like if you were training for the Olympics. It's the Olympics of our lifetime. Number 3, community. Core 3 is that you need the infrastructure to help you support as you pursue the dream of the season, as you redesign a life of wholeness, because your friends impact and influence the way you make decisions and the way you wrestle and continue to grow. So if you have friends that are not growing and not supporting you, then it's going to be challenging. So having a community, that's what we have in our core 4, is that you grow actually with a group of women in the masterclass. So we have a New One Masterclass of the course. You go do it, you meet with your coach on a weekly basis with your mastermind, which is a group of women, and core 4, which is commitment, which means that you have to have a start and finish date. Great things fall into the wayside because we don't have a start and finish date. That's what a goal is. You need to know when you're going to commit into your own growth with a start and a finish date. And so that's you saying, you know what? I no longer want to be the same woman year after year. I want to design a whole version of me, which means I have to invest in receiving nourishment for the purpose of being able to give, right? It's that constant receptivity of a woman that allows her to live a life of generosity. You cannot live a sustained generosity without continuous receptivity. That is not sustainable. And the only way you're going to live a life of continuous receptivity is you pay attention to every arena of your life, because if parts of you are hurting, then inevitably you are going to be held back by that. Now, what our goal is, what fulfills us, is a life of generosity. We're giving, but you cannot give if you're not paying attention to the whole version of you. And so your role is to actually live a life of contribution, because ultimately it also fulfills you and fulfills the couple of everyone else around you. Isn't it amazing that generosity, which actually fulfills us, the secret to living is giving, the Tony Robbins quote? And so your role as a woman, your secret to giving is receiving. And I think that's the art of woman. Your secret to giving is receiving. And so receive the training that you need, both mindset and skill set, so that you can become greater than your current self, and that you can design a whole version of yourself. And it begins with what? You having, number 1, a metric to see where you stand in every part of your arena. That's your responsibility. You can't turn a blind eye to that, because numbing is not sustainable. And number two, identify what you want and don't want, and then develop a strategy. So that's my challenge for you for this new year. Go forth and conquer. Make sure that if you don't want to do this on your own, pay attention to our free complimentary call, a strategy call, coaching call, where our coaches will walk you through this process. It's complimentary and it's revolutionary, and it's going to change your life, because you start to see parts of you that you may have not paid attention to, but you realize it's giving you language for both the ache and the desire. So go forth and conquer. If you like this video, please share it, but also subscribe and like us for more practical life training on the Women's School. This is January Donovan with the Women's School. Go forth and become a whole version of you.